What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you.
All right, guys, let's talk about something we all need. High quality, comfortable, stylish clothing that actually holds up in real life. Whether you're grinding at work, hitting the gym, or just hanging out, the Normal brand has you covered. I've been rocking their gear, and let me tell you, it's not your average clothing line. They've nailed it perfect with the perfect blend of durability, comfort, style, whether it's a go-to rugged Henley, a hoodie, a button-down that doesn't make you feel like a stiff, the Normal brand is where it's at. The best part is you can support the show while upgrading your wardrobe. Just hit the link in the description below. Check out their collection. Trust me, once you try it, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. The Normal brand. Made for real life, built to last. Now go check them out.
Shout out to our friends over at Captain Beard Co. Guys, if you are looking for beard care products, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, give Captain Beard Co. a try. They have this unbelievable beard butter, balm, oils, and then it smells amazing. Ladies, if you're looking for something for your men as a gift to help with their grooming, check them out. Also, if you guys are looking to just set the mood one night, candles, unbelievably smelling candles, made with all natural ingredients here locally to St. Louis. Give them a shot. Also, while you're there, use the promo code Zach and Pat for 10% off your purchase.
Hey there, guys. We really appreciate you checking out the Zach and Pat Show. If you can obviously tell, we are a newer podcast, but one way we're really trying to grow the show is trying to get up the amount of subscribers we have. So, you know, if you're watching the show and you're getting something out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. That would help us out a ton. Please click that button. And now back to the show.
We have a very special guest in studio today. Her name has been brought up on the podcast numerous times. She is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, a CrossFit coach, the vice president of business and technology solutions at Centiene Corporation, the great and powerful Amanda Clifton. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Excited to have you on here.
Yeah, we've talked about you enough, so
Yeah.
I figured.
I know. I'm like, let me speak for myself on this
Yeah.
show.
Well, I mean, I've told the story about how you beat me up on my first day of jiu-jitsu many, many times. So it's just, definitely wanted to get you in here. And
Well, it's
I don't even remember that.
kicking his ass
I
on the
remember
mat.
it. I think you subbed me like 3 or 4 times in like a 3-minute round. And I was like, holy shit. I guess this shit works, huh?
Yeah, probably a couple of triangles and omoplatas.
That's exactly what it was.
I bet I told you probably, hey, you just move forward way too much.
Yeah, you're like, just stop leading with your head.
Yeah. Putting your head in there.
Yeah, I'm just putting myself in it. Well, so how did you originally, what led you to jiu-jitsu originally?
So I played college softball and was competitive my whole life. So always had sports, always had something to link onto. And like most college athletes, like got done playing and was like getting fat,
Yeah.
sitting around eating. Got a dog, would take the dog for walks, but was ultimately just really out of shape. I was working in consulting, and that's very busy. So lots of travel, not really time to work out. I also wasn't prioritizing it. Like I think in my head, I got done playing softball. I broke my hand at the end of my career. So that made it even worse because like my hand was broken for the last 6 weeks. I basically finished up with drinking and eating whatever I wanted. And I was like, oh, I don't know any better. So then when I transitioned, I left consulting and went to Centiene to work. I had just had like a lot more free time. And I was like, I should probably like
Get a hobby.
Yeah. Should probably do something with my time.
Our bottle the other side.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, thank you.
I should probably do something with my time. So Sandy, my wife, and I started going to Finney's, and we did kickboxing. And Sandy was like a big time flag football player.
Really? I didn't know that.
She's in the St. Louis Flag Football Hall of Fame.
Really? That's really
She
cool.
played for like 20 years. They used to call her the brick shit house.
Really?
So Sandy and I go to Finney's and we start like hitting mats,
mitts and stuff.
whatever. And we would go to those classes, and then I was like, oh, I kind of want to like do a kickboxing fight. And then like one thing leads to another there. It's like, you should do an MMA fight. And I'm like, I don't know how to wrestle or grapple. And
Did you do a kickboxing fight?
I never did.
Okay.
So the first time I ever sparred with somebody, I broke their nose. I broke this lady's nose.
Whoops.
I was like, and then I felt terrible. Like, I didn't think anything of it. I also like had a sore jaw myself for a couple days afterwards. And I was like, I don't really like getting hit in the face. And so Rob over there was like, yeah, like, let's get you in an MMA match. It'll be fun. And I'm like, yeah, it'll be fun. And then I was like, but let me do like a little bit of jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't want to go into MMA not knowing anything. So Sandy ended up breaking her hand playing football. So I didn't have a partner to spar with anyway. So I went into jiu-jitsu. And then like I kept putting off the MMA match. Like, no, I'm going to get a little bit better at this. Or I want to get my blue belt or whatever. And they kept coming back. When are you going to do that MMA match? I'm like, never. I'm never coming back. So yeah, so that's how it happened.
Yeah, and then so you were at Finney's for, I mean, since you said you started training in 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
Damn, that's crazy. 13 years.
It is wild. Yeah, I've been at Centiene for almost 14 years.
Wow.
So yeah, so
your jiu-jitsu career is an 8th grader.
I got my black belt and became a vice president at Centiene in the same year. So it's like very like career progression and jiu-jitsu progression was very like on par with each other.
That's really
awesome.
Cool.
That's
Well, what do you think like jiu-jitsu's taught you, like as far as like about yourself? Like what are some lessons that you think taught you over the years?
I mean, there's a lot. I think there's you can do hard things and you can get through things that seem impossible at the time. I also think it's like super humbling because you can go in there. Like last night, I went in there, felt terrible, got my ass kicked by guys that I used to beat up all the time. And so I think there's a nice balance of learning new skills, challenging yourself, but also like being humbled all the time. You can have a great night and still get humbled, or you can have, you can have a terrible night. And so I think dealing with the highs and lows. But I also think I like another parallel to my career is like stop chasing promotions. Stop thinking about the belt. Stop thinking about being a regional vice president or a senior vice president, and just be a great blue belt or be a great vice president and do your work and do the things that are going to make you successful, and don't worry about the promotion. The reality is this is true in jiu-jitsu and in career. Like I've had people come to me and say, hey, I want to get a promotion. Why am I not getting promoted? I'm like, well, probably because you're asking that question, to be honest. But
just
but
like
also
jiu-jitsu,
like,
if you ask, you just get knocked down the rat.
Like, yeah. Like, do you like what you're doing? Do you feel like you're good at what you're doing? Do you feel like you're enjoying it? Because like, if you're wanting me to promote you because you're going to leave in 6 months, you're still going to want to leave. Right. Yeah. The promotion isn't going to change that. And I think that's true for jiu-jitsu too. Like if you're frustrated or stuck, getting your purple belt's not going to fix that. It's probably just going to make it worse.
Now you're going to be a bigger target.
Yeah. So I think that's been interesting. And that's been true for me too. Like I've actually thought black belt is the hardest belt because you are like,
everybody wants
like,
to
tell me you're not
belt.
thinking about the day that you're going to tie your black belt, right?
Yeah,
like
100%.
You're thinking about that, but then what comes after that? Like, then what are you going to do, right? Once you have it, once you're there, what are your goals? What changes and whatnot? So I think that transfers really well, but like also like problem solving. And then once you become a coach, like learning how other people learn, because it's not always the same. You have the people that like want to be shown the 12 steps of everything they're going to do. And then the other people that like can't process 12 steps. And so like as a coach and as a teacher, it's hard to like, this lady over here wants and needs to be taught this way, and this person needs to be taught this way. And how do you?
Well, yeah, and then there's some people that you show them something once or twice, and they like do it. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Like, they're like that's one thing when I started coaching at Watson's that I saw is just like the variance in like people and their abilities to learn and everybody's starting points, because I was teaching like the beginners class, and it was just like crazy to see how some people would come in and like, oh, it's like, or maybe this guy was a wrestler, or even if he wasn't a wrestler, some guys or girls, it just looks like it fits them naturally, or the movements.
It's like body awareness, body control.
Yeah. I think it feels to me like it comes more natural for guys than it does for ladies. I think part of it is the way were raised in the types of sports, but also like, I don't want to make a generalization, but in my experience, women don't take liberties. Like they don't fill the gaps of what you don't say. So what I've learned, the right balance for me when I teach is I'm going to kind of leave it open-ended and then break and watch what everybody does and see if they fill the gaps of what I didn't say. Because for me, 12 steps is too many. 5 steps is probably too many.
Mhm.
Like I like to keep it super simple. And like, here's the outcome, the thing that we're trying to achieve. And this is why this works. And I'm going to give you as little as possible and see if you figure it out. They rarely figure it out. But like a lot of guys that maybe have a little bit of background or just punked around with each other or like
Yeah.
beat up their little sisters. This was happened to me when I was a kid. Like they've kind of figured out like how to fill the gaps of what you don't say. But I think that's true in a bunch of other things. Like women vice presidents that I've worked with, they are experts at something. They have learned something very deeply. And a lot of the guys are just like kind of, no offense, but like a lot of them are people pleasers. Like they talk a lot. They do, and all necessary things, right? But like every woman that has made it is like this super detail oriented. And I think that's true in jiu-jitsu too. Like there's not a female black belt that doesn't have great, perfect technique
Well,
and
yeah,
moves, because
you have
otherwise
to.
it don't work.
Yeah, because I mean, most females are going to be in a room full of guys. They're going to be the smaller person.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to have perfect technique
Yeah.
if you want to not get beat up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, same for those small guys too. Like
Sure.
Eric, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's
like
a nightmare.
you can't get an underhook on the guy. You can't do anything with that guy. Like he's probably, I don't know. I probably weigh more than
Yeah,
he
he's
does.
probably what, a buck 50?
Yeah. I think I weigh more than he does. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a nightmare. He's very athletic, strong. I mean, I've rolled with him quite a few times. It's been a while, but
Yeah.
he's very good.
So a lot, right? Like a lot of just different things about how different people work, what motivates people. The other fun thing that I always think about is like, what's people's breaking point?
Mm-hmm.
How
You
far
know,
can
you
push
ever
'em?
like you're on top of somebody and you just feel that like last like little breath of like, and I give up.
Yeah, I give up. Just take it.
Oh, there goes the air
Yeah.
out of the belly.
There,
Like, oh,
yeah.
you're done.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll take that arm now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, so what changed? You know, like you mentioned, you know, when you get your black belt, what's next? What changed for you when you got your black belt? I know you went and I mean, how soon after getting your black belt did you compete and win worlds?
Oh, that first year.
It's fucking
It's incredible.
pretty awesome.
Might have been the worst thing that could have happened though. For me personally, like,
So you reached the
so
top.
I got I went to brown belt worlds and, that was probably the most fun. Like, I won brown belt worlds with a knee bar in my weight class, which was like, to me, that was like one of the pinnacles. Like, oh, like,
That's
I want to be a
cool.
brown or a
Mhm.
black belt one day and be able to like toe hold or knee bar somebody. And like, so to go to worlds and like hit those
Yeah.
types of submissions was cool to me at the time.
Oh yeah.
Went against Amanda Magna. Do you know who she is?
Yeah, I do.
So like, she's the 45-year-old woman, Brazilian, like jacked,
Right.
like just massive.
shredded. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can literally see her lats through her gi.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's saying something when you can tell how jacked someone is through.
So
it.
yeah,
You
I
know?
made it through the brown belt absolutes and was like gonna go against Amanda Magda. And I remember like, I think Molly and Nadia were there, and like some of my teammates were there. Susie was there. Nick was there in person. Like we had all gone to World together. And I remember being like sitting on the sidelines, like yawning, like super tired. And they were all like terrified for me. Like, this girl is massive. We had like, I don't know, I think you can look it up on Flow. One of the best, like it had to be the super entertaining match, but like she was trying to knee bar at me one at point by just bustling my leg through her legs. It was
Yeah.
crazy. So I barely lost that match, but I got my black belt right after that. So a year later was when I went to black belt worlds again. I think for me, like, I just saw that Ffion said this too, like
Yeah.
the lead up to like a major competition can be like so exciting or stressful or whatever. And then when you go out and win, sometimes it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
Kind of like getting your black belt, right? Like, oh,
Yeah,
I
you expect
got
this,
my
like,
You just-
feeling
black
or
belt.
this,
Like you,
like,
Well, you
yeah,
just put all this effort
Yeah.
and work into it, and it was just like, Well, that was
I got this medal and I stood on the podium and now it's like, we're going to get something to eat and now we're going to go back and I still suck at jujitsu. Like,
I still get my
nothing
ass
really
beat by this guy, I still hate dealing with his spider guard or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I think for me, also the other thing too about being a black belt, for me, like the women, I can't get, like if I'm training to go compete, I'm not going to get a brand new white belt to come in there and stay. Like, I just talked about like the point at which someone completely gives up and like you feel their last breath of air and then I'm going to rip their arm off. Like, that lady's not going to come back.
Right.
Like, she bought a 1 month membership in a gi and she's done in she's done in 5 minutes. Like, never
Bad time
coming
for
back.
her to show up.
Yeah. And I talked about that with Bree too. I'm like, we had a conversation. She's like, this is really hard. Like, it's hard emotionally. And like, she's like, I didn't think I was going to come here and get my ass kicked. And she's like, it's hard to go in there and get your ass kicked. I'm like, yeah, it is.
It's an ego check for sure. I mean, I'm still at that point, so I'm still fresh and pretty new to it. I mean, I'm getting my ass kicked every time I go in there. And I don't know. I guess that's just
part of it, man.
I mean, well, no, I know it's part of it. I guess that's just me mental. Like, I don't know.
It's hard some days to like decide.
Honestly, like the mental side of it hasn't really been that bad. Like I knew going in, having talked to you and everybody else that's done it, that I'm going to get my ass kicked. So I've been well prepared. Like I'm getting my ass kicked and just kind of taking it all in. But like physically, it is physically the hardest workout I've ever done.
Well, you might get past that and then it becomes mentally hard. Like at some point in time, it might switch.
Right. Well, I guess maybe because I'm too new and I don't know.
Yeah. Right now, or maybe like physical condition feels like the hardest part of it. So that's what you're focused on. But at some point, you're going to get a little bit better and then you're going to be like, oh, but I still suck and they're still kicking my ass. And that's going to be mentally a flip too. So
I don't know. I mean, was it easy for you because you're a softball player? I mean, softball, baseball, pretty similar in terms like it's a mental game.
No. I first of all, there were not a lot of women at Denny's.
No.
So
I literally remember you and like one or two others.
Like when the other day when you guys made the post about like how long it would like taking everybody to get their first submission, like I didn't like the first time I swept somebody legitimately was in a comp.
Really?
Like I went out as a white belt and went against like a green belt, which I don't know how legit that was, and a blue belt in comp because there were no other women. Yeah. So I was like terrified and had like same thing. Like I thought I was physically going to die after those matches, but I beat this blue, like the first points I ever got in sparring or competition or anything was when I swept this blue belt, a half guard sweep.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, like I can actually do that to somebody my size.
Yeah. Someone your size, because I'm sure at the time you're probably the only girl at Finney's or one of the only girls at Finney's.
And like, so yeah, there were a lot of like, there was days where I like cried on the way home. Like, this is hard. Like, I don't know if I'm getting any better. And yeah, this sucks. So I don't know why I even kept going.
I know. It's me either. Because there's days where you just get so beat up and you're so demoralizing where you just go in there and you just get submitted over and over and over again. And you're just constantly underneath someone, just getting smashed. And you're just like, fuck, am I ever going to figure this thing out? But like, but then you have like one day where you hit like something on somebody and you're like, oh, wait, I can do this. I just did it to him. Like, and then eventually like it just kind of snowballs and like, you get better and better and just eventually like you suck just a little bit less.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think black belt's been a lot about like, how do we make sure that women will come in and they'll stay? And so it's been a lot more about like growing the team. Some of them have goals to compete at a higher level. So, thinking about how do we coach those women? How do we roll with them? How do we train them versus like the 45-year-old mom that's doing it because her kid's doing it and she wants to have something, my mom and I gardened together. So if she had done jujitsu, I'd have loved that. But so like, I want to be able to give that to these women, like they can have a connection with their sons and daughters that are also doing it, which I think is really cool. So it's been a lot less focus on me training, I feel, which has like an impact on my abilities. Like I can still go out there and probably, I was thinking about this the other day, like Rachel at CrossFit Achieve doesn't like, she'll be like, oh, I haven't really trained. I'm not really ready to do this. But like,
she'll just show up and just
can go and smash you in a workout. Right. Like I'm sure that's what it feels like. So I try not to say too often, like, oh, yeah, I'm not really training hard, or I'm not really like, because what does that do to my students that are like, and you're still kicking my ass.
Right.
Like,
Right.
but yeah, I think like it's been different for me. It's been hard. But also, like, if you're going and you're teaching class 2 times a week, let's say you're making it in 3 days a week, which is where I'm at right now, just based on priorities. There's one class where, like, it's about me. Like, so Jasmine, Kevin, and I will, like, drill something. And don't get mad at me, Nick, but, like, I showed up last night. It's Tuesday night. It's our night. We're going to drill. And it was like, and here's a move from Mount. And which is great. Like, the class has to be designed for everyone. Right, not the black belts in the room, but that's so that there's like things you have to figure out how to balance, like when do I get better versus like when am I making other people better. So that's been the hard part for me.
Yeah, I would imagine at black belt, 'cause you're one of the coaches there, you're like the leader there, especially on the women team, or on the like with all the women there, you're like the chick, you're leading it all. So
Yeah.
it's but you went on a really cool trip recently to Greece and got to train with Ffion Davies and some of the other best in the world.
That was
what was
wild.
that like?
Yeah, so like Greece was on the bucket list for us, like place I've always wanted to go. And then it popped up on my feed, of course, like whatever you follow on Instagram, they know the algorithm is like Ffion 4-day camp in Greece, like all women's camp, and I'm like, in Greece? Like,
Yeah, like what place I want to go.
I'm
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Black belts are half off. 5-star hotel on the island of Rhodes.
Sick.
So
awesome.
a place that like not even an island that I ever would have like picked
Thought
to
of.
go to, but like I'm also not a huge traveler. Like it's hard for me to leave home. Like I have a routine. I want to go to the gym every day. I want to do my things, and like that makes me happy.
Yeah, 100% the
So
same
like
way.
I want to see the world, but I would much rather teleport. Right? Like the idea of getting on a plane and traveling and
How long was that flight?
10.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. I think I went there expecting to like be fascinated by like the instruction and learning from literally the best in the world. And like I walked away with like some other things. The women so it's run by an organization called the Women Who Fight. They also have a podcast. They were like, I walked into the gym and got a hug and a handwritten note. Like, it's amazing that you're here. We've been following you. Your accomplishments are amazing. We're so happy to have you. We can't wait to have this week. Like, I'm like, wow, like that's how to greet somebody and make sure somebody feels welcome wherever you're going. Cause like I traveled across the world to come to this camp. And honestly,
You don't know
I'm
anybody
not
really, right?
I'm not a super like, you guys know this about me. Like the RBF is real, right? So like for me, like I was a little nervous about walking into a room and like honestly, even though having a black belt, I was like, oh my gosh, what if nobody wants to drill with me? Or like, what if I don't jive with these girls or whatever? But everybody was so welcoming. And then of course, like as a black belt, you can't help but like help the white belts in the room that need a little help on the move. And so I got to know a ton of everyone there. I drilled with a white belt. I drilled with every belt color.
Wow.
Really?
The days
That's cool.
there. Yeah. Which was cool for me. So some days I felt like I was teaching. Some days I was learning. So yeah, I feel like I have friends all over the world. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so was there just girls from all over?
And how many were there?
Yeah. I think there were 45
Okay.
Wow, that's really cool.
women. Small enough to know everybody's name, but big enough to like, I don't think I got to roll with everyone. We did a Queen of the Mat at the end. It was a lot of
Sweet.
fun.
That's cool.
It was really fun.
Did Ffion take part in that?
No, she was the judge.
Gotcha.
That would have been unfair.
Yeah.
I have never.
Did you roll? You
Oh,
rolled with her, right?
yeah.
Yeah. What was that like?
Oh, I did not do any jujitsu. There was one moment where, so I started in guard and then I don't even remember what happened. I think I reversed out of mount or escaped something and somehow came up in her closed guard and thought like, I'm going to rest for 1 second.
Mhm.
And then I got armbarred.
Catch my breath. I'm safe here.
Not safe.
Yeah.
Not safe. And like not even something that I think she would like be known for as like closed guard. Cause I was like
No.
thinking like I'm probably like okay-ish here.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Keep my elbows in. She's not gonna
Yeah,
get me.
I'm not fine like this. Nope. Wasn't fine. Yeah, it was cool. I got smashed. Like after she armbarred me, I started back from guard and then I just got smashed for the rest of the round. But,
Wow. Damn, that's so
Again,
cool.
like-
she's the best in the world.
yeah.
You know, like I mean,
Yeah. So the instruction was great. It was like I think went there also thinking about like how does she teach, right? Like does she talk like because some people talk a lot. She talks a lot. Like
Really?
she gave a whole explanation of every move, which I thought was interesting. And I like, of course, but she's Ffion, so people are hanging on to every word she says.
They're
I'm not sure that I
expecting
can
it, yeah.
pull that off. Like Amanda gives a 15-minute lecture on half guard.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna lose that. I'm gonna lose my
Lose some
my
attention.
students.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're gonna be counting the ceiling tiles and stuff.
but it was amazing. And like Shanti and Marina, who like are the women who fight ladies, they come up with all these like seemed like they were like, we're gonna go outside and wrestle on the beach, and everybody like after 3 hours of training. And I was like, no, we're not. And then, you go out there and you do it and it's a blast. And then they're like, ladies, everyone walk down this like you're on a run, like you're a runway model. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing. And then like they put it on Instagram. I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. Like, so yeah, they just know how to do it. And I guess they said that this is progression for them too. Like they're like, we're embarrassed by the first time we came out and did this. Right. So it was kind of cool to see somebody else start from nothing in COVID and like also grow this like massive.
Is that when they started? Was it during COVID?
Yeah, they
Okay.
started podcasts. Like they said, if I recall correctly, it was like, we're going to start doing this because we feel like we need some jujitsu in our lives, and we're going to get on a podcast and talk about jujitsu since we can't physically do it. Like over in Europe, it was very locked down. Yeah.
Wow, that's really
So-
cool. And so was this the first time they did like a meetup like this, or have they done this before?
I think this was their fourth.
Okay.
And I think they're settling on like roads.
That's the place to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the hotel was beautiful, 5-star hotel, which was also kind of funny to see. Like we'd finish up nogi and we jumped in the pool afterwards and
In your
then
no-gi
didn't
clothes?
have towels. So we're like walking through this 5-star hotel, just dripping like, hey, like I was getting
workout.
off the elevator and this lady's getting on in an evening gown to go to dinner. And I'm like, oh, hey, sorry about the puddle in
You should
the.
come do this workout. I'm drenched in sweat.
Yeah. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. Very cool.
Awesome.
What was the weather like over there at that time? I mean, is it similar to the?
Yeah, it was like 70s.
Okay, so perfect.
Yeah, it was. And then you're closer to the equator, so the sun is hot. So you can definitely like,
Burn.
Burn.
yeah, it was hot in the sun. So, but it was beautiful. Awesome experience.
Did you get to do any sightseeing and all that?
Yeah, we did quite a bit. I skipped a no-gi session to go do, like we did an off-road Jeep tour.
Oh, that's cool.
Sandy went with me, so I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
to
yeah.
like, she was spending a lot of time reading books and sitting at the beach, which was fine with her. But yeah, like, did you like train for 3 hours in the morning or like have, I guess it was like an hour of instruction and then an hour of jujitsu, and then there's like an activity and then you get a 2-hour break and then another hour and another hour.
Oh, wow.
I trained more in 4 days than I had all year, I think.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, then, what led you to getting into CrossFit? You're obviously very involved with that, very
Oh, yeah.
competitive with that. What kind of
Yeah.
led you down that road?
I wanted to look like Amanda Magda on the mats.
Yeah.
So I wanted to beat
Just
people like,
dominate
but like,
people.
you know that like you look across at somebody across the way of the mat and sometimes you are beat before you step on the mat.
100%.
I wanted some easy matches. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So I started CrossFit 2017, brown belt pans post COVID or like during COVID. It was like in that weird era.
Yeah.
I remember the lady like we came off, we were done, and she was like, "You beat me before I ever." She's like, "You beat me in the bullpen." She was like, "I looked at you and I was terrified," and I was like,
Hell yeah, CrossFit's
up.
paying off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the goal. That was why I started. So yeah, that's how I got started on that.
Just wanted to just get in better shape on the mats.
Yeah, like when I first started CrossFit, I wasn't as focused on like the CrossFit skills because I was just like, I want to be more powerful, I want to be stronger, and I want to have good cardio on the mats. And
I mean,
so
you
for
were
the
one of the
first few
reasons I
years-
started. I saw what see what you were doing over, because you were at the time. I think it was it was Steel Plate, and then it became CrossFit Achieve, and that's and I knew Rachel from First Form and stuff, and I like came over there, and been just an amazing community. I love it there. So
Oh
much.
yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I think that's been the other part of like jujitsu. Like it's kind of CrossFit is now kind of like my number one, like outside of my career, which
Yeah.
talked about that. But that's been like my number one hobby for the last probably 18 months since winning worlds. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just switch up the priorities a little bit. So yeah, I've been spending a lot more time like investing in the skills, making
Mhm.
sure, you can do all the movements and then building efficiency. They're very similar in like you have weaknesses or stuff that's going to show up in a workout that like is going to be very humbling, you're not going to be able to do, etc.
I feel
So
like
I
it's
think
easier to determine it in CrossFit, I think, than jiu-jitsu. At least for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I see that in the workout, I'm like, fuck, double unders. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas
Burpees.
I can try to, like if I'm going against a guy that is, particularly good at something that I suck at or something, then I guess that's one thing. But I don't know.
Yeah. The other thing that I love about it is like it's very measurable.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jujitsu, like you could be
Not.
getting really good and feel like
Shit.
you're not.
Yeah.
And then but like CrossFit is like
It's
no,
metrics,
if
yeah.
your back squat goes up, your back squat went up. If
Right.
you
You're-
hit a max 20 rep, you hit a max 20 rep. Like there's nothing that can take that away, right? And I
Right.
love the benchmarks that you're going to redo and so yeah, I kind of got hooked on that because I just feel like it's better measurable outcomes for
Well,
me personally.
Oh, 100%. It's measurable that, there's always, there's always something to be improving at. And like, you can measure it. You can't measure like,
Yeah.
it's like, yes, okay, I can go in and, I can beat this guy in a round, if I'm counting the score in my head like an asshole, like, okay,
Yeah.
I beat him, but he normally beats me. Like must be getting better. But maybe he was just having a bad day, maybe he wasn't feeling good or whatever, it's like, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm better than him now or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So, but like with CrossFit, it's just, you're really only competing against yourself.
Totally. And so I think also that makes it a different community than jujitsu. Not saying better, just different. Like,
Mhm.
Bree Ping and I are going to train together. We don't care who wins, but we're going to try to beat each other.
Of course. Yeah.
But we're not hurting each other and we're going to push each other. So I feel like the outcome is just better,
Mhm.
right? Versus like if I demoralize somebody in jujitsu, they're demoralized.
Right.
Like mentally, they like Bree can beat me in a workout and we still both win,
Mhm.
Yes.
right? Like that though both things can
Yeah,
be
'cause
true.
you may have PR'd your previous score on that workout
Yeah.
or
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, like that happens a ton,
All the time.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think it makes it for me like a really cool experience, community. I like being part of a team, so it's been fun.
The community and like it just, I love the gamify. It's like it's a game. That's how I
Yeah.
look at it. It's like, oh, it's a game with a score, and like I'm trying to get the best
Yeah.
score I can.
Yeah,
And how long after you started CrossFit did you start competing in CrossFit games and like hyrox and all that stuff?
I mean, I'm always going to compete.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing something that I'm investing time in, I'm always like, I think it's important to compete. Not the most important thing, but it's like something to go out and measure, see how you stack up against people that aren't in the gym. A couple of things about that is like, you are who you surround yourself with. So like, I think Achieve has this amazing community. They make me fitter, but also like a better person, which is like even more what I love about those people. Like, I feel like they've just like everybody that walks in and stays is like an amazing human being. And so I think like being surrounded with those people, you like naturally, like it levels you up by being around that level of people. But like you can still go out and compete, and jiu-jitsu is this way too, or like the other communities, like micro communities, are doing something different, and you might get something from that you should bring back. And so I think that's important. I'll always think that's important. And like the whole big fish, small pond thing has
Right.
never been like, I have no desire to be the best, most fittest person in CFA. Like,
Right.
that's not my goal. But when we go out and compete, I want to represent, I want to be a good sport. I want to represent our community, and maybe somebody else looks at it and goes, oh, like that place might be a pretty cool place to check out or whatever. So yeah, those are my things about competing. So So I started pretty early, but it was like all entry level stuff. It wasn't until Rachel took over Achieve that we really started like skilling up, doing an athlete track, investing extra time. Bree and I like obviously train a ton together. And so like Rachel's an amazing coach. So I think we just kept kind of leveling up and leveling up and leveling up, and it's almost like belt levels, if you will. So now I think like we're starting to do some
black belt level shit.
I like to say like I think I'm like still a purple belt in CrossFit, but yeah. So it's been fun for sure.
If you're a purple belt, then I'm like a 2-stripe white belt. So.
Still a beginner here.
Yeah. I'll get consistent muscle ups one day.
Yeah, for sure.
I can count on 2 hands how many I've ever hit. So
that's like, well, that's me with kipping pull-ups. I just can't get the move. I mean, I can string 3. I get to 3, and then after that, I'm like all over the place, and I'm like, no, reset.
I feel like it's like a rhythm thing.
Yeah,
it is positioning, and but also like spending the time. Like you can't only do kipping pull-ups in the workouts, and that maybe they show up, well, maybe twice a month or something, and maybe sometimes you miss it and expect like, oh, I can all of a sudden do 7. That's not how life works. You know, so I think like for me, if that was me, I'd be like, you know, so for me in the last few months, it's been like handstand push-ups, you know? So just thinking about those things that are like, what are the 3 things that suck the most? I'm going to focus on those, you know? So
could definitely take a page out of that book, because I've been saying I'm going to work on my double unders for probably 2 years now, and I've just not committed the time to doing it.
So I know, and then they show up in the open, and you're like,
and I'm like, fuck. Single double, single double, single double, single double. And I'm doing twice the work, you know?
I love the person that like spent all year on muscle ups, and they have muscle ups, and then it shows up in the workout for the open, and it's like you have to do 1,000 double unders before you get to those muscle ups.
Yeah, so
hope you worked on those.
Worked on those too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, you've got such a like crazy physical resume. Do you think that, you know, with jiu-jitsu, CrossFit, fast pitch softball, do you think being physically dominant changes like how people treat you at work?
Probably. Funny story. This is not at work, but Jackie P from Jackie, love you, Jackie, was like, I'm like, hey, from CrossFit Achieve, I'm like, do you want to go to coffee? And it's like, we went out to coffee. It was great. I thought it was great. I think we're friends, you know, whatever. Like a couple months go by, like, hey, we should go out for coffee again. She's like, yeah, okay, we'll go. But this time we're going to talk more about you. And I was like, okay. And so we went out to coffee, and like, this is ironic for me because I don't usually talk about me a ton. And
here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And so I say something, and so the other day we were going out for breakfast for my birthday. I'm like, Jackie, you want to go to breakfast? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, should we go to coffee again soon? She's like, ugh. And I was like,
wow.
Yeah.
Not hiding it.
So I called her out on it this morning, and she's like, no. She's like, I love to go to coffee with you. She's like, but I have to like emotionally prepare to go to coffee with you, because it's not like fun. It's like, we're going to talk about Jackie and our goals and whether we're progressing on our goals. And I was like, yeah, isn't that what people do at coffee? Like, what do you talk about when you go to coffee? Like boys and like, I don't even know. So there was like this moment where I like got in the car today after the gym, and I was like, what else would you talk about at coffee? Like, if somebody asked me how I'm doing, I'm talking about like these goals that I have, these things that I'm focused on, and what's blocking me from getting there. Right. Yeah. Like, what do you talk about when you go to coffee? So yeah, I think like it didn't occur to me that that's not normal. Like for me, that's fun.
I agree. Usually it's a lot of gossip usually my coffee meetings are work. So it's spent around that, but you know, I know like my ex-wife, like, oh, let's go grab coffee, and that's a gossip. Like, hey, let's catch up on what's happening in life with like gossiping, and I'm like,
there you go.
Yeah,
I don't know what I would.
Yeah, I'm not part of that.
I don't know what I would gossip about. Yeah. So at work, definitely like I think it probably less about being physically imposing, although I think it plays a role. It's more of just like my personality. Like I'm not super warm until we get into a space that we're talking about something that is like CrossFit, jujitsu, or engineering.
Yeah.
Like let's go build something, let's work on something, and like
beat
get an
people up.
outcome. I'm not like hey, how was your weekend sort of person. So I like have to mentally think about like the people that need that, right? Like my new boss just started a couple weeks ago. It's funny because like we had an interim boss, we have a new boss. He starts his staff meetings with something called segues. And like, I think we've been through the ringer of, we've been through a couple different bosses in the last couple months, and everybody's different, right? And it changes the whole dynamic of the entire team. And so segues is everybody's going to go around and say something about your personal life that's going on. And like the whole demeanor of the meeting changed immediately just because you had somebody that was your boss that cares about you. So that doesn't come, that's a skill that like I have to work on. Like I care about people, but I don't always like show it in a way that you recognize that that's Amanda caring about you. You probably do.
I do at this point,
but actually you might not.
It's like, it was funny. We were talking, like Pat was like, I think Amanda's, she's talking to me more. I think she's starting to like me a little bit. And, I was like, I know it takes her a while to warm up to you, but when you can tell she likes you, it feels really good.
Yeah.
She makes you work for her affection.
I think it's more about me and like my insecurities. And Jackie actually said this. She's like, you have this hard shell. Everybody thinks you're like super confident walking in the room. And then she's like, once people get to know you, it's like, oh, actually, she's not super confident. She's the black belt that shows up in Greece. So like, I hope somebody will partner with me.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Right. But like, so I give off a little bit of a different vibe than probably what's happening on the inside sometimes. But so yeah, at work, definitely have to be super purposeful and mindful about the shadow you cast, right? Like leadership shadow. I have anywhere from it's like some years I've got like 300 people because I have contractors to 600 people that are in my shadow, right? Yeah. Like, so if, the engineers don't feel comfortable and happy talking about their problems and whatnot, like that's a reflection on me. So definitely have to be mindful, purposeful of like how that shadow casts, and like also like you're somebody's boss's boss's boss. So like I always try to think like you got to be the shit umbrella, right? Like no matter how bad stuff is on the outside, you have to like keep it from hitting your people.
Yeah. Never heard that term before, but I like that. Shit umbrella.
Yeah. Like it's only going to make it worse if your people are also getting hit with shit.
Sure. 100%.
So, yeah. So that's work life, the big focus area there.
What are some things you're doing to work on that? Obviously, that's something that's, I know you're into with the tracking and all that, but that's more of a jiu-jitsu where it's like it's hard to track something like that in terms of how you're progressing. But
yeah,
what are some things that
I've been through like, I feel like everybody, I call it professional therapy or executive, like leadership therapy, but like executive coaching a few times. And so like I'll write sticky notes down on like what I'm working on. And then one of the things we came to, because it's really hard, like you're not always, just the nature of it, like if something's on fire, like it's hard to be like, good morning, how are you? Also, there's a dumpster fire over here. What are you doing about that, right? Like there's like I'm in information technology, so there's like got to be a balance of like, I'm sorry to just jump right in here, but what the fuck is going on? So I have like, these sticky notes about like how often, like almost like gamifying it, right? Sure. Like how often did you like make sure that you talk about something with somebody like personally before just jumping into business, and just like literally keeping score on it,
like a little tally mark on your desk.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we landed on, because people are a little intimidated by me just generally, I really can't, like in my head, I can't wrap my head around that. Like, what are you intimidated by? But like perception is reality, right? So saying like, hey, I'm really working on making sure that you guys feel comfortable coming to me and talking to me. And so I want to make sure I create that environment so it like kind of disarms the situation for you to now say like, hey, I didn't feel comfortable in that moment. I know like it's a different conversation of defensiveness versus like, hey, I think you're working on this. You've said you're working on it, but just so you know, I didn't feel that in that moment. I'm like, oh yeah, I am working on it. And you just given me a mark against myself, right?
Yeah.
Like that like, hey, it didn't work out because I'm not one of those people that like, 6 months ago, you made me feel uncomfortable. I'm like, I have no idea what
And
happened.
no
6 months
rep.
ago. Yeah.
Been no rep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think those things are important, right? Like, again, going back to like who you're around on the daily basis. Like, do those people know what you're trying to do to be better than you were the day before? Because they're supposed to help you.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So maybe I'll get some coffee dates out of this podcast. Maybe I won't.
There you
We'll
go.
see.
Yeah.
You can practice your what is it, the workify or not workify, gamify spreadsheet.
Yeah,
for,
we'll see how approachable I am
yeah.
if people ask me out for coffee.
Yeah. She's putting it out there, people. She is working on being vulnerable. So
Yeah.
and so speaking of that, I mean, with your new boss and the segments or the segues and all that, do you think vulnerability has become a superpower within leadership?
Ooh, probably.
Yeah.
I think like I'm a much better leader when I'm not the smartest person in the room. And I know it. Like I even am kind of scared to go to some meetings where I'm like, I know way too much about this topic and it's not like there's something not going well. Instead of asking questions, you're answering questions and telling people versus like, hey, I'm not the expert on this topic and I'm asking with the intent of asking, right? And that's another one that I keep score on is like, did I ask and I know the answer and I'm testing, or did I ask because I'm curious and I want to know how people are thinking? And there's going to be always both, but like I think if you're leading a team of 600 people, you can't have all the ideas and you've got to think about like how do you create an environment where other people are also asking the questions out of curiosity. And so I've been on the receiving end of that too, right? Where like you're questioning, you're not asking a question. Those are very different things, you know? So yeah, I think it's super important and I've been kind of on both ends of that. And so I think sometimes having a bad leader can also make you a better leader as much as like having a good leader can make you a better leader too. But it, like kind of switching to is like making you super aware of like, I didn't like that feeling when that happened to me and so I'm sure that person didn't like that experience with me when I did it either. So um yeah, I spend a lot of time thinking about every like interaction that happened throughout the day of like how do I think that person felt at that interaction. Sometimes I ask them
Yeah.
like, did this go okay for you? You know.
Well, then there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, shoot, that's a question that I ask a lot. Like, hey, what could I have done better? Like, I mean, especially with my job. I mean, a lot. I mean, there's a million people, or I shouldn't say a million, but there's a lot of people that do what I do. It's how do you separate yourself from those other people? So I'm always asking, hey, what could I have done better to make this process smoother, or easier, or something for you? I mean, it's shoot. I mean, it's something that I ask on every review that I send out to people is what can I do better, or what could I have done better? So
Yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to think like talked about walking up at a camp and getting a hug and like, hey, we followed you. We
Right.
know who you are. Like those things make a difference in terms of like what people are willing to do for you, I think, too. So, yeah, there's like the other thing that's switch that happens when you're like progressing up the ladder is like how often are you solving people problems versus how often are you solving the problem?
Yeah.
Because if you're always solving the problem, your people aren't solving it. Um, so I think jujitsu plays into that too. Like
How so?
at some point, your students have to be able to solve the problem themselves. White belts, you have to talk them through like this is how you get out of mount. Purple belts probably are starting to figure out their own way that they like to get out of mount and that works really well for them and what transition happens. And at some point the coach isn't going to teach you every move that you're going to make, and you have to be empowered to try those things and safe to try those things, right? If you don't feel safe, you're not going to try something new. So I think creating that vulnerability, like where your leader's vulnerable, also creates like safety. Like, oh, that person doesn't think that they're the smartest person in the room or that they know everything. So I'm kind of safe too, because I'm not either.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
Yeah, very true. Do you think why do you think so many high level athletes make good leaders or terrible ones, or what separates the ones who get it from the ones who don't?
This is a good question. I was thinking about that today. My whole team is athletes.
Really?
And I didn't
You didn't
plan
build
it.
it.
I
but they
didn't
just
plan
kinda
it
came
that way. Like some people I kind of got, some people I hired, and then certain people leave. And I was thinking about this, like you have this thing that's lingering out there that we all like to hire and work with people that are a lot like us. And I try to be mindful of that. Like, am I like, because you're always going to be on the spectrum of like a really good leader for one person and not so much another person, because everybody's going to work differently. But how do you like kind of find the right balance of I work with this person in this way, this person in this way, but like also there's consistency in the amount of coaching and effort that they get. And I think this is true in like a CrossFit class,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't give everyone the exact same amount or type of attention, and they don't need the same amount or type of attention, but they all need to enjoy their experience. And so same with jujitsu too. And so I think like calibrating and starting to understand people on that level, that's like going to be a learning journey forever. I think athletes kind of have that, right? Because they've been around all these different people. They don't always choose their teammates. You don't always like your teammates, and you still have to go out there and try to work towards a common goal. And I think sometimes that wins out over like a certain expertise or skill, because like there's some people like, I'd hire you. Like,
Yeah. Thanks.
you can't do anything in engineering, but like you'd figure it out, right? You'd ask the questions, you'd get people together, like, let's go solve this problem. You don't know what problem we're solving, but you can get people in a room, get them together, get them to work together, and get them to figure stuff out.
Mhm.
And I think not everyone has that.
No, I agree.
Is the reality. And so I think that's the difference to me.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
So that's what I look for when I'm trying to bring people on my team or athletes.
Yeah. I think
It's-
sports just do that.
Yeah.
One, the team atmosphere, but two, like they've had to have failed at some point and had to get back up and start over again. Like it happens. If you can't get up, and especially, I mean, Zach too. I mean, my job is to call people that don't want to be called and try and get them to like me. And it doesn't always work. All right. People don't want me to call them. They say no all the time. And so it's like, how do you turn that no? Like, okay, that can either put you down a notch or like, hey, I mean, we were just talking about it. Like, I just went through it a couple weeks ago where it's like, I had to call so many agents I've got to set so many appointments within my coaches. Like, you got this many appointments to set by this date. It's like, okay, cool. And so I'm like, fuck. So I'm calling these people and I'm getting no. And I'm like, God, he did. I'm just like, what do I got to do? And then another conversation with my coach. And it's like, hey, when you go fishing, are you, you want to go catch the largemouth bass, but are you going to be happy if you catch a smallmouth bass? Or like, are you going to be happy if you're just going fishing, right?
Want to catch a
You
fish.
just want to catch a fish.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what fish you catch. So like, let's just not focus on the fish, the type of fish you're catching, but focus, like, let's switch the mentality on it and go after the fish, just go after any fish and then start from there to rebuild. But yeah, I mean, if I can't get people that can bounce back from a no and they let it defeat them, they're not going to be able to make it at least in what I do in terms of the real estate side of things, because they're going to get told no. I mean, I get told no all the time. All
Yeah.
the time. So
Yeah. I think, dealing with failure and figuring it out, skill.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think so many people just,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and I don't think about that. But I think a lot of people do. Like, when something gets hard, it's just like, I'm going to quit, or I don't have time, or I think that I don't have time is what people kind of lean on is like, I don't have time. And what they really mean is like, you're not prioritizing
Right.
what it will take to get the outcome that you're looking for, or you don't want to do the work.
Right. Do you think that that's, I mean, obviously I think that's more prevalent now than I think it ever has been. Like, you think
Everybody wants the instant gratification.
everybody wants the instant gratification, just wants things right now. Like, do you think that, like, I mean, I think, would you say workplaces are more like, have you seen work, like your career, like throughout your career, do you think like things have gotten more soft as far as like what they'll allow to happen, or like what I forget, I'm having a hard time getting out what I'm trying to say here. Do you think that they will, do you think it's hard? Fuck. Talking is hard. Do you think modern workplaces have gotten more soft as your career has gone on? Like, allowed more things to happen, like standards are not as high?
I mean, again, Centiene is like a 60,000 people work there. When I first started, there was
Crazy.
8,000.
A lot.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
I could talk you through like the growth, but it's been like basically 40% year over year for some period of time, and then switch priorities. Like, yeah, we were standing up new health plans like 5 a year at one point. And so that was a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in my time at Centiene, it's been a cool place to like build a career. Is like, I feel like I've done more in my time there than like a lot of people have done in their entire career. Like, I have had years where I stood up our loaded provider networks. So we're an insurance company. We have to have a network of providers for people to go and get care for 5 health plans. We've migrated, like through acquisition, millions of lines of data from one system to another, and acquired companies one after the other, like sitting and learning what their business processes are. And so I think like for me at Centiene, things have been so fast paced, which is probably like why I've stayed there for so long. There's always something that kind of keeps us waking up and doing the next thing. So I think that like some new people coming into the company, and like when I interview people, I always say like, now, this is not the easiest place to work, and I am not the easiest person to work for, because you could do like everything on your list of things, but I'm not focused on output. I'm focused on outcomes. And the goal is for us to get, this product 80% automation, or deliver this amount of money, or to save X million dollars in this area. Those are the goals. We either hit them or we don't. I don't care if it takes you 10 steps or 15 steps. I don't care how we go about doing it, but those are the goals. And so you have to be that person that's willing to take on, kind of like you, like, well, I don't know, like what's your goal? Probably to generate business. Like, yeah, stop focusing on that type of thing. And like, it leaves you flexibility in terms of how you hit the number, but the number is the number. So I don't know if other people are getting soft, but I'm not. But I will say it's hard to, it can be hard to hold people accountable to the outcomes, because they're like, but I did all these things. I showed up for jujitsu class 4 days a week. And, or maybe they weren't super purposeful, but like, did you really like put in the work? Did you were you purposeful? Did you pay attention? Did you, make adjustments and do those things? So
did you try to apply the stuff that you're like learning?
Yeah.
And
Do you do the
to
move
live
of the
rolling?
night?
Yeah.
Like, that's literally like one of the things that I'm looking for is like, did you do the move of the night
in live training?
Yeah.
It's like,
did you try it at least?
Yes, exactly.
And so those like that all kind of carries over. And I think like, yeah, I don't know if people are getting soft, but I'm not. So I try not to. But I will say like I get frustrated because like I'll have my team, like I think they're all superstars, but I'm only going to give one person exceeds expectations.
Yeah.
Not everyone exceeds expectations, and I can't even like it's pay for performance. I can't even. But like I'll look around and like other people, I'm like, oh well, like I would still pick my team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's a personal thing though. Like, right? That's
Sure.
not saying those other people aren't as good, but it's like this is my team. This is who I'm going to go to battle with. And these are my people. And we're going to accomplish these things. So I just try to stay focused on that. But sometimes I feel bad because like I am a tough grader. And I tell my people like, hey, there's, 5 of you, only one of you is getting exceeds expectations. I don't want you to be competitive with each other. And then I usually end up kind of sharing with them like, yeah, this dude over here had a monster year. And they're like, had a monster year. We agree. Right. Like, so we kind of share those accomplishments across the team. I have a Division I basketball player, a Division I volleyball player on my team, and a woman who's like competed and is like super active as well. So like they're competitive, but know that we're all going towards a common goal. So sure, they want to get exceeds expectations, but they know like not every single one of you is going to get it.
Yeah.
You're going to have, every year there's a different all-star MVP in the league. So in whatever league they're playing in.
Yeah.
So.
But I also think it's kind of refreshing because I've seen other people like, man, this person gets exceeds expectations every single year. Like, do you really? I even think about that for myself. Like, not every year am I hyper focused on performing in my career. Like sometimes I'm like, well, I'm getting through this. I'm doing what I need to meet expectations because like we all have limits, right? We all have priorities where like your business might be your priority for 9 months, but there might be other moments where your kid's your priority or 100%. CrossFit's your priority or jujitsu or whatever, right? Like you can't do all the things all the time.
Yeah. You can only I think I've described it as like, you got to kind of look at least I've used this as like an analogy for the day or whatever, so like say you have 100 points, it's like you've got that 100 points. Okay. You can put 50 of them into your work. You can put, 25 of them into your family, and like only got so much effort and so much attention that you can dish out every day. So it's like you got to find that balance of, where do you want to put your points? And, it's some days it's a lot more on work than it is on the family or a lot more on, the family than it is on work or whatever it is, or more on jujitsu than it is on family. It's like, it's hard to, keep that balance. But I think if you look at over the course of a year, if you had if this was like a thing that you were actually measuring, which would be obviously a very difficult thing to measure, but it'd be an interesting thing to see, like, okay, where am I putting my points?
Yeah, like a time entry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be, like
I wouldn't be able to stick with that, but that would be maybe that would be like a cool AI thing.
Yeah,
you can
like,
use
that'd be pretty
hey,
cool.
I spent this time. This is how I spent my time. But I think like having a life partner that keeps you honest with those things too is like super important. Because there'll be moments like Sandy will say, like, there's moments like I don't want to go to jujitsu, and she's like, "Is that really the decision you want to make?" Like.
Yeah,
and then sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take the night off. Right. Like, but,
just can't imagine my wife ever saying that to me.
Well, like, I mean, everybody's
like,
different.
I'm jealous.
And, like having a partner that knows what your goals are and is honest with you about like how you're spending your time. And there are other moments like on the flip side of like, yeah, you haven't been paying attention to this and I need you. Right. And so like, again, like being approachable and vulnerable to be able to say like, yeah, we can have that conversation too. So I think like your partner is part of your community. They're the like team member number 1. Right. So there's a lot of also like, do you think I should have this conversation with this person? Like, I feel like this isn't going well. Do you think it'll be better if I would just sit down and talk to that person? And like, we talk through a lot of those types of things. Cause I feel like I do have 3 jobs sometimes, right? Like CrossFit. And like, I feel like if I carry the CrossFit coach, then I have to show up every day consistently. Like when you walk in there, I'm not a coach just cause I'm not coaching.
Right.
When you walk into Revive, I'm not a black belt just cause I'm not teaching that class. Right. So I feel like there are moments where I feel like I'm just always on. Right.
Yeah.
And so then...
I'm sure that's exhausting.
Yeah. Well, sometimes.
Well, you mentioned in the questionnaire, go at a pace that scares you. That's a pretty powerful statement. How do you balance that kind of intensity over the long haul like in terms of longevity? How do you manage that? And then how do you know when it's time to pull back?
Yeah. Good question. You know where the go at a pace that scares you came from? We were the 1,000-meter row.
Oh, okay.
So the 1,000-meter row is not a sprint. you can't maintain a sprint for 4
4
minutes,
Mm-hmm.
4-ish minutes. It's also not like if you go too slow, you're not going to get a good time. So it's not zone 2. You're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be on the verge of like, I want to quit. So that was like the first time or second time I'd ever done a 1,000-meter row. That was a coach's advice. Like, go at a pace that scares you. And then I went to work like 2 days later and something was off track. And then like wheels were spinning. Like we were trying to figure out what's going on. What should we adjust? Whatever. And the team was like just spinning. And I was like, go at a pace that scares you. Right. Like if you're not on the verge of like making a mistake or having a hiccup, or that you're not making a mistake because you're being too perfect all the time, you're never going to get it done.
Right.
You're just never going to get done. And I am not a perfectionist. And so a lot of times I'm calibrating just on like feel alone. And so for me, I plan out every week very loosely that allows for like something to not go well. Or I need to spend time, extra time here versus somewhere else. And I recalibrate that every week, right? So I look at my training schedule. What is that going to look like for the week? When am I doing jujitsu this week? And then what does the work calendar look like? And what do I need to like accomplish? Or like, how do I move my team forward this week? And so I always do that on Sundays, no matter what. And then sometimes it's like you can get into a rut, right? I'm showing up 5:15 in the morning every day, doing 2 hours of working out before I go home, start my real job, and then a couple nights a week driving out and doing jujitsu. So like if I have a couple days in a row where I'm like, feel like I'm just going through the motions, I know I need to make an adjustment. Like it did not do any good to go out to jujitsu, driving 45 minutes and then like not be super present. Right. So that's the moments where I'm like, I'm not going to go tonight because I know I don't have it in me. I can make that choice. And I think a lot of people don't have those boundaries either. Like,
don't know how to say no.
Yeah. Don't know how to say no. But I actually think I'm a super selfish person. Like I really do. Like I care about people, but like I'm a pretty selfish person. So you have to be.
You have to be.
I don't mean that as like a deprecation towards me, but like, yeah.
I think everybody should have some sort of selfishness. I mean, I think everybody does in some way.
Yeah. And I think like when you're with a partner, like, do you want to be with somebody that's just like doing the things, not thinking about it, saying yes to other people all the time? Or do you want to be with somebody who like, has love and shows love for themselves and for you? And I think that's really important. And I think we both talk about that a lot. Like, hey, what are your goals? What are you focused on? What's your week look like? And so we work through that. But I think that's super important. Like they're community partner number one. And a lot of people don't think of it that way.
Yeah, what's that whole saying, you can't pour into others from an empty cup.
Yeah.
Like if you're not filling your cup up, you can't help other people out. Or
always
can't be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. It's always the airplane analogy. Put your air mask on, or you put your mask on first.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I think though, like, admittedly, like it's hard for me to say that like my jujitsu is not good right now. But I'm not putting the time, like I'm holding on, I'm showing up, I'm doing my things, but I know I'm not it's not on my list of goals. Like no, other than like build the team, build up the women, be a good coach. I don't have any personal accomplishments goals for jujitsu right now. At some point I might, but it's not a priority right now. So that is something that like, that's my current trade-off right now is like, if I feel like I'm stretched too thin, that's going to be the thing that I would pull back, and probably people can see that right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one thing I've always been super like impressed by you is you're the frequency that you train. I mean, what's like a typical week for you look like? I mean, it seems like you're in CrossFit pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And then you do jiu-jitsu 3 days a week?
Yeah, 3 days a week right now.
Like
every once in a while I'll
9 to
throw
10 sessions a week of working out.
Yeah, and I feel like if I was going to compete at black belt, like I'd need to at least get 4 to 5 days. I've looked at other people's training schedules that are my age and my age group, and they like train like 20 hours a week or something in jujitsu alone, and I'm like, I don't even want to do that. Like that's not going to be something that I would put my time that much time into. But no, Yeah, so every morning, up at 4:35, into the gym by 5:15. I usually do class workout and then stay and do extra work. The athlete track that they offer there. Some days, like Wednesdays, I try to block off a lunch block where Bree and I can work out together.
You don't go to 5:15 that day?
I go to 5:15 class and then would come back for
For
like
the
a
athlete track,
lunch.
or-
Like we're going to do an extra session together because I think it's like, again, really important to work out and prioritize with like people who can make you better. There's some other people besides Bree, but she's kind of my primary. You'll notice like if there's videos of us working out next to each other, there's a reason why we're going about the same pace. Like, oh look, they're synchroing, not on purpose. Just that's like what happens. And so I think prioritizing that is healthy for both of us. And two, like we have like Rachel and Ping and some others at the group that we try to get together once a week and do something really hard together, like a 40-minute something or another. We started doing that when we got into when we started doing hyrox. We started training like these 40-minute EMOMs or like long workouts.
What's the difference between hyrox and CrossFit?
Hyrox is definitely like running focused.
Gotcha.
And definitely
Or
a
cardio.
longer, where like a lot of CrossFit is going to be, there's CrossFit's a whole methodology, right? So hyrox is very repeatable in the same 8 workouts that you're going to do. You're going to run 1,000 meter and you're going to do these things. I think CrossFit is a really good way to train for that. But honestly, like you'd probably, to be a good hyroxer, you'd probably give something up on CrossFit, like maybe
The barbell movements.
some of the barbell
gymnastics.
movements. It might be focused on more like strength endurance type movements, but also like you're going to be super focused on running speed with the 1,000 meter repeats in there over and over again. So you're going to give up you're going to give a little bit on the strength side likely. But like, I think you see a lot of CrossFitters doing it because you like CrossFit really, like we're testing the methodology. Does it really prepare you for anything?
Right.
I can go out there and do this race and have fun. I think the hyrox race like that we did was a lot of fun. Like
Really?
we had a blast, but I wouldn't like alter my training. Like I don't
Just to
have
do that.
goals
Just
to
to
be like,
do-
I don't want to be like a great hyroxer. I just want to do it for fun because we can and we love competing and we love testing ourselves and doing something hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'd like
yeah,
to
that's
do one.
where
I'd like to do one. You guys have like one planned out?
uh, Martin wants to go to Mexico City. There's one in Sao Paulo, which would
That'd be sick.
Pretty cool.
I know. I'm sure Junior would love to take us down to. I said something to him the other day. I was like, Junior, we should go do this. I want to go do this hyrox in Sao Paulo. And I was like, you want to take some of us down there? He's like, I'd love to. Let's go. He's like, when do we leave?
Yeah, I think I want to do one. I mean, they look like fun. It'd be fun to kind of switch it up,
Yeah.
do something different. There's no barbells, no like gymnastics. It's like a lot of sandbags and kettlebells and stuff, right?
It's so you do like 1,000 meter run, and then there's 1,000 meter ski, and then you do 1,000 meter run, and then the sled push, and then 1,000 meter run, and the sled pull, and then 1,000 meter run, and then like burpee broad jumps, and 1,000 meter run. Like so, there's 8 workouts, and 8,000 meter runs.
You're just doing everything, so it's like one continuous thing.
It's like a big race. They like kind of compare it to like, hey, we're like the length of a half marathon if you think about it. But I mean,
Okay.
the super competitive people are like finishing now under
Sub 50,
55 minutes or whatever. So Rachel and I did it. Like I think we did like 113, but neither one of us really are runners per se. But yeah, so it was fun. Like our goal for that one was let's go out and do it and see what happens and finish it. And then like if we do another one, I'm sure we'd have like a time goal and then be more purposeful about like training the 8 weeks out. Like, hey, let's really focus on our running pace. Ultimately, it's a running race.
Yeah.
We came in like 8th in the burpee broad jump, but who cares, right?
yeah,
Like
right,
that doesn't that probably didn't help us.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, running. I got done with baseball. I was like, yep. I don't know if I'm gonna run again.
I ran in preparation for Murph for like the last month, but I was like, I need to get some runs in with this weighted vest just to kind of prepare for it. But
That was the only time. That was the first time I ran since last year's Murph, I think.
really,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll walk.
I am
I'm just
still
I
sore as
just
fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, the first mile. I mean, I did the first mile in like 7.5 minutes.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fast.
That's fast.
I didn't. I mean, I did it without a weight. I mean, I did body weight, but yeah.
I came in at 8. I was in the gym at 8:06. Was when I looked at the clock and I was like, shit, I didn't really want to run that fast. But of course,
I was like,
like,
right at 9.
you were in the later heat, in the morning heat. Rachel takes off sprinting out the door. And I'm like, so then like
Gotta
the
keep up.
5 of us right behind, she didn't have a vest on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the 5 of us right behind her all like, were then of course, like you're always going to try to catch the person that's visible in front of you or whatever.
Of course.
And at some point, Josh was like, we're running way too fast. I was like, absolutely. I'm like, I'm going to slow down. Like, I do not need to run a sub 8-minute mile on that first mile of Murph. But yeah.
Yeah. On the second mile, I had like just turned around and I saw Izzy coming. I'm like, I better not let him fucking catch my ass, you know?
I did the same thing with Martin. I was like a little bit ahead of Martin and I like kept looking back, like, is he there? Is he there? And then all of a sudden I could see him and like I had my hands on like my vest so it doesn't bounce.
God, I hate that. That's the worst part.
Yeah. So I'm like kind of like shuffling like this, you know, and then I saw Martin and I'm like, nope, fuck that. I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna let this vest is gonna beat the shit out of me for the next half mile, but Martin's not gonna catch me.
Yeah, dude. Oh, the running with the vest sucks. Just for that reason, the bouncing drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much ran with the whole time with it, like my thumbs in the thing right here.
Yeah.
Just to make it not bounce.
I've got a built-in weight vest, so
Oh,
we're good.
Sure.
Built-in extra 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Amanda, this has been awesome having you in here. We've had a lot of fun. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that we wanted to cover?
I feel like we covered a lot.
I think we did. Yeah. Well, we always end the show the same way. So before we get you out of here,
We play this little game called the Tombstone Game.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Here lies Amanda. What does it say on your tombstone?
She never quit.
Perfect.
Hey, love it.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for paying attention. Please click that subscribe button for us. We have a goal this year before the end of the year to get to 500 subscribers. So if you could click that subscribe button for us, that would help us out a ton. Click that like button as well. Comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.